Today's done, so he gets high on you. And the energy you trade, he gets right on to the friction of the day.
Okay, we got an update here. An update on the 8th of January 2015 on the terror attack in Paris, France yesterday. We covered extensively, and I think we're getting even calls from some of these news outlets. CNN right now reporting that the two guys who are on the run are actually 25 guys. Two of them have turned into gazelles, and 4 of them died, but they were resurrected. And then MSNBC said they all died, but now they've come back to life also, and they're in New Jersey hiding. Let me see what else on the wonderful.
And do those reports come from MSNBC counterterrorism officials?
Unbelievable. The insanity yesterday of the various news agencies trying to scoop each other with some sort of tidbit about a very developing organic situation was simply a massive embarrassment to Fox, to MSNBC, to CNN. And we understand.
Well, NBC, the worst, by far.
They were the worst, yeah. Well, CNN had some good stuff, but then,
and they went off the rails like usual.
One of them was dead, and he's not dead, and he's back alive, and he resurrected. He's Jesus Christ, and he came back.
I got a question. Is that guy still in the cockpit in that airplane?
Yeah, I know. Right.
The guy in the plaid shirt.
MSNBC had Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton came out like he was announcing that man had given birth for the first time. Okay, a major announcement in Washington, D.C. One of the assailants is dead, and 2 are in custody for a freaking hour. Then the next moron, Chris Matthews, tingle down your leg. Chris Matthews, who actually spent the time to make fun of you and
yeah, right.
Guandolo, was it?
Yeah.
You and Guandolo for outing Brennan with the Mr. Tingle down his leg. Spent this whole show saying, well, 1 dead, 2 in custody. Then Chris Woodsy, the gay owl Hayes, comes on, and for the first 15 minutes of his show, they're repeating 1 dead, 2 in custody. Then the banner on the bottom changes to manhunt continues. Chris Woodsy, gay owl Hayes didn't say anything. He didn't correct the 3 hours prior of misinformation, and all they did is when Rachel Lickmabush Meadow came on after that, she comes on and just says, "Oh, an update. One in custody, 2 on the loose. Not sorry for 3 hours of feeding you crap.
You have to stop watching the news, or your life expectancy.
Your head's going to explode.
Sorry, Arie.
But we do have but probably the most important update did come from Howard Dean, though.
You mean Howard Dean? The doctor, the former governor of some state.
Mr. That Howard Dean.
This man is so funny.
All right, let's check out
Howard
the latest
Howard
analytical counterterrorism investigative insight of Howard Dean.
Yes, it was very, very astute.
Howard. This is a chronic problem. I stopped calling these people Muslim terrorists. They're about as Muslim as I am. I mean, they have no respect for anybody else's life. That's not what the Quran says. And Europe has an enormous radical problem, and an enormous. I think ISIS is a cult, not an Islamic cult. I think it's a cult.
Yeah.
And I think that you got to deal with these people. France has tremendous gun control laws, and yet these people are able to get Kalashnikovs. So. This is really complicated stuff, and I think we have to treat these people as basically mass murderers, but I do not think that we should accord them any particular religious respect, because I don't think, whatever they're claiming their motivation is, clearly is a twisted, cultish mind. Now.
I had the opportunity in graduate school as a teacher's assistant and also as an adjunct professor to teach the basics of Aristotelian logic. And I wish I was teaching again. I would play that 50 seconds and tell the class, okay, how many logical fallacies were committed in the first 5 seconds. How many? And then how many in the next 5? Unbelievable. They're about as much Muslim as I am. I know nothing about this stuff. I don't know Muslim.
I don't know.
Well,
But
what did
tell
I
you
title
what,
the video?
This ain't Islam. This ain't, it ain't that. It's a cult. What kind of cult? It's not an Islamic cult. It's,
Even though they call themselves the Islamic State, they're not Islamic.
he needs to be prohibited from contributing publicly. No. He needs to continually contribute publicly for the other side. That's what needs to happen. Howard Dean, unbelievable. But you know what the real sad part of all of this is? And look, the fog of war, the fog of terrorist attacks. We've in our coverage through the years, we've jumped ahead here and there somewhat. As soon as we found out, we've cleaned it up, but nothing to the extent that we've seen yesterday. The CNN, I saw this and I actually put it up on my Facebook page. CNN sent out an internal memo to all of their staff all over the world and said, look, we are not showing the cartoons. Whatever you do, do not show the cartoons. We are not, at this point, like they're going to at some point, at this point, we're not showing the cartoons. Then they go on because the cameras show them when the French citizens are holding the cartoons up.
Yeah.
And they actually had instructions,
blackout.
Don't zoom in on the cartoons. You could do a wide shot on the crowd if they have it, but do not zoom in. This was an internal memo that somebody outed on CNN.
Oh my God!
Are they not ashamed and embarrassed to?
It is the antithesis. It is
like
the
that?
it is
Yeah, I
the
know.
antithesis of what journalism is. And look,
Hey, you know what? We're gonna do this. Screw you.
well,
We're gonna put up the cartoons, consistently throughout the show.
well, we did. I mean, we did a little tribute last night. We put together a 2-minute tribute to the country of France, to our friends at Charlie Hebdo and our friends in the whole resistance movement. And you need to go see it on the internet, folks. It's entitled Charlie Hebdo Tribute, The United West, and it's playing right now. There's actually 2 versions out there, one with a French anthem and one with some rock and roll jazz.
Jazz French.
That was
Jazz,
not right.
jazz.
That's what happens when you send Mark a video late at night and he's had a couple to drink. Probably he's like, I don't like that stinking French national anthem. Let's put some jazz in
I'm
there.
not hip on the national anthem, but you have a little time to give the French. But in any event, it really undermines journalism for major outlets to not show what the subject of the attack is. Now you can we can't, but maybe you could give them a pass when the cartoons came out and they made an editorial decision. We don't want to inflame an ad. We think that's horrendous. But because the cartoons were de facto cartoons as cartoons back in 2006, 2009, 2011, there's different iterations. But now the cartoons are the central issue of the terrorist attack.
I tell you what,
Fox will not show it.
If the New York
CNN
Times
will not show it. Nobody's showing the cartoons.
If the New York Times had any balls whatsoever, they'd run a full-page ad with every frickin' cartoon that these guys ever made.
Yep.
Right on free. Hey, everybody, here's your cartoons. React to that.
Yep, they would. And, we sent out an email, too, yesterday regarding the show. We got quite a few people who viewed the show. The numbers were very, very good.
Yeah.
But it says, Charlie Hebdo dead, Mohammed avenged. Because as they were shooting, the 2 brothers and the third character, if he's even involved in any of this, they yelled out a couple of things. Allahu Akbar, that was caught on tape. Apparently, in the scene of the shooting, they yelled out Mohammed is avenger. Actually, when they were leaving, also, in perfect French, with no accents, no foreign accents.
Allah Akbar, eh?
Because they were French. How about that,
How about John Kerry addressing the French people and his...
That was an embarrassment.
It's a toss-up between dumbest man in the world, between John Kerry, John McCain, and now we got
Howard
Howard
Dean,
Dean
man.
in.
Put him in there. Yeah. So in any event, a message as we start out today at 15 minutes after 4 o'clock East Coast time. Tom Trento, 7:40 a.m. on your dial. That's the number, not the time of the show. Time of the show is 4 o'clock East Coast. WSBR Radio on the AM dial, theunitedwest.org, teapartycommunity.org. Breitbart TV also is playing quite a bit of our stuff.
Well, actually, they're playing that tribute.
They got the tribute up. They have we did a little pre-production video on the fact that after initially showing the actual assassination of the police officer, again, the news agencies blurred out that it was too offensive to the audience. We showed it. We put it out.
Anyway, this is the lead headline on the Breitbart thing, which is l'Amérique on est Charlie, meaning is we in America are one with Charlie.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And for you driving in your automobiles, it's a very simple graphic. It's two green pencils pointed up with very sharp tips. In fact, they almost resemble the World Trade Center. The two
Yeah,
Trade
they really do.
Centers.
Absolutely, that's what it's supposed to.
Well, I'm going somewhere with that. I think I knew that.
Yeah.
I was creating a mystique in the audience, and I was going to bring in the
Painting a
fact that-
picture in their mind.
Yes. Then there's a little something in the right hand side. Oh, that's an airplane flying into the two pencils. That is a brilliant cartoon. You need to see it. And I saw another one that had the tools of cartoon writing: erasers, protractor, pens, pencils. Did you see this one?
No.
Assembled in the form of an AK-47.
Oh, wow.
It was very cool. The protractor was the stock, and so very, very cool. Is it going to have any resonance in France other than a week of solemn memory?
No.
Already we're seeing the people saying, okay, we understand free press, but we also understand that there's a moral obligation not to offend. Where is that line? So now that line is going to be established 3 months from now, and there's going to be laws against some of this stuff being proposed in France. Guarantee, absolutely guarantee it.
I have two comments on this. One is how we are so obviously we stand for free speech. We believe that they have every right to do this and encourage it. But our president, it's the same president that stood in front of the United Nations and said the future does not belong to those who insult Islam. It's the same president that had Nukula arrested
Thrown in
for
jail.
that idiotic Innocence of Muslims movie. Have a little bit of consistency.
Yeah,
Just
tiny
a
bit.
touch. And another thing I want to say is, France, we are with you this week, but you're a bunch of a-holes when it comes to the way you treat Israel and Jews.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Okay?
I mean, there you go.
And your vote, you're getting the vote that you did in the UN to create a Palestinian state and have Israel leave by 2017. So what? So Israel could have a bunch of jihadis running around killing people like you have?
I think
Is it
I think that's France calling right now.
France calling me?
And let's go to Israel.
Let's go to
if we can,
Israel.
and have someone in Israel
Yeah.
comment on what's going on.
Yeah,
in
instead of the
France.
little angry
How
Jew
about
in the
that?
studio, let's go all the way to Israel and get a
Let's-
smart guy on the
Let's
line.
do that. Welcome on our show once again at 19 minutes after 4 o'clock in Florida, but 7-11, well, late at night in cold, snowy Israel, from what I understand. Is he here? Do we have...
Here.
Where is... There he is, Mr. Egozie. How are you, Arie Egozie?
I'm good. I hear you with an echo. The quality of your voice is something distorted.
That's the way I talk now. I decided to...
He's trying to sound more like Obama. It's like,
I'm trying
hi,
to...
this is the president.
I'm trying to
Obama.
distort my voice. Mark will
Your
straighten
voice
that
is
out.
clear. Tom is a little bit distorted, but I can hear you, Tom. Go ahead.
Okay.
All right, Mark will straighten out the
No, I won't.
distortion.
No, I won't.
I'm saying that for the audience's sake.
It's not distorted on our end.
So that's the feed you have because of your weather. Tell us as we come for an update on our friends in Israel. What's going on with the weather there? You got a strange weather situation.
Well, it snowed in Jerusalem last night. Very likely. It's very cold outside now. Unlike in Israel, it's a very unique situation. Very cold outside. There was tremendous wind last night. Poles fell, trees were torn. But today is a little quiet. Just a cold night. That's it.
Now we should tell the folks that you're on the flat land basically. You're at sea level, aren't you? Where you are in the Tel Aviv area.
Yes, we're at the sea level, but even here the wind was very strong. Something like in some times something like 100 kilometers per hour.
Wow.
And yes, and I just walked out. It's very cold, really cold for Israel. Very cold. And
Now
that will stay like this until Saturday.
till Saturday. Now, but when people, you say you go up to Jerusalem, people think that's north. I mean, when we go up to New York, we're down in Florida. Up usually means north. From Tel Aviv to go up to Jerusalem, you go down south. And why do people say up to Jerusalem?
Because Jerusalem is on a mountain. It's higher than Tel Aviv, but direction it's southeast. We are on the coast. Jerusalem is southeast, but it's high on the mountain, and therefore it's colder there.
What is the height? What is the height of Jerusalem or the Temple Mount? What is the height? How many feet or meters?
I can't hear you, Tom.
How many? Ask him, Mark. How many meters?
How many meters?
Elevation.
The elevation of Jerusalem.
I think if Jerusalem is something like 700, 800 above sea level.
That's 3,000 feet.
700 meters.
Yeah, so we get a little bit of snow. We're going to have later on in the show Jerusalem Jane, and she's been reporting snow and playing in the snow and all of that in Jerusalem, so we'll take a look at that a little bit later. But Arie, you've been following the events in Paris, and France is a confusing country on many, many levels. Let's just get your evaluation. What is going on in Israel? What's the sense of the Israelis' view of what's taking place in Paris over the past 24 hours?
Yes, I think that of course we're all shocked by this attack, killing journalists in work and killing a policeman lying on the ground. This is crazy, but I think that no one in Israel was really surprised. I think that some people dubbed it the September 11th of Europe. This was coming. The writing was on the wall. Certain quarters of Paris at night, the police doesn't go there. An expert on security told me today that in Paris and in some other cities in Europe, there are stockpiles of automatic weapons, rocket launchers, armies, Muslim quarters with armies. And these guys use AK-47 Kalashnikov assault rifles. They had bulletproof vests. They had a rocket launcher and an RPG, an anti-tank, a Russian-made anti-tank rocket launcher. This is heavy stuff. This is not a handgun. They came to wage war. And another policewoman was killed today in Paris. There's a big manhunt there. Of course, we are following from here, but we were not surprised. It was coming. If you follow the development in Paris, in France, in the last months, you could see this thing accumulating all the time. Small incidents, bigger incidents, and I think yesterday, finally, the French president and the French prime minister finally said the word, it's Islamic terror. So far, they found some beautiful words to describe it. This time, they didn't have any other alternative but to say this is an Islamic act of terror. And I think that now they have to take some action. They have to do something, because otherwise, I understand that Paris, I talked with a friend in Paris today. Paris was under siege today because there were information that they were seen in a car going back to Paris, and they were afraid that they are going to stage another attack. So if you know Paris, and I know Paris, to put police roadblocks on the highway to Paris, that creates chaos, total chaos.
That's going to be
so
a big.
They should do something. They should do something very fast.
All right, now in terms of we know Paris, and we're following that right now, is locked down at 4 o'clock, 26 minutes after 4 o'clock on Thursday, the 8th of, is it the 8th today? Yes, the 8th.
Yes.
The 8th of January. These days are blurring, getting stuck together
Yes,
here.
they are.
But have you seen or heard any precautions or concerns for tightening down, hardening down areas of Israel?
No, I don't think that this attack has any connection with Israel. They attacked the French publication. There were attacks on synagogues and schools in France before, Jewish schools, but this time there's no connection to Israel whatsoever, or to Jews. This was an attack on the freedom of speech in France, and France is very proud about the freedom of speech in this country. And this was an attack on journalism, on free journalism, and I don't think that this time there was even a hint that it is connected in some way to Israel or to Jews.
Oh, I can give you exactly how this is connected to the Jews, Arie.
Yeah,
This is Imam Abdullah. Would you like to hear how this is connected to the Jews?
Yes, please.
These two brothers are not Muslims. They are the Mossad, and they are
Yes, I
sent
know.
to make the.
I heard that bull thing, Mossad, and thing like that. Okay, crazy people out there.
Yes, you see how good they are.
Crazy
They
theories,
just come in.
Mossad. But I think it's a turning point for France and for Europe. I think that things from now on will change. They finally understand that they are in a war, in a real war in Europe.
Then it's time to surrender.
That's my understanding.
Well, yeah, that's you have a little more faith than we do.
Right.
Having worked with these guys quite a bit, and there's a tremendous grassroots movement, even though they don't call it that, but there's a grassroots movement. The people who are fed up with the Islamization of France. And a couple of years back, if you remember, they declared themselves a secular country. They pride themselves on being secular, and they passed a ban on face covering and hijabs and all that in public space. And we thought there'd be significant problems with that, but essentially the Muslims got in line and they follow it to some degree. It's been a successful ban. But the new party that took over, Hollande, he was more Islam friendly. And the problem is the population there is, I think, 60 or 70 million people, very nationalistic. You got almost 10%. 10% of the country is Islamic. Here in the United States, it's not even 1%, but it's 10% there. That's a tough number of people to deal with, and we've been in those areas, those banlieue areas where, even as our friend Max from France said, yeah, the cops go in, but they have to have extra protection and all of that. And we asked them, can we go walking through there? And just, no, you can't. And it's unlike the ghetto areas in America where there's crime. These areas in Paris and other cities, it isn't a crime issue. It's a supremacy issue. These areas have identified themselves simply as an Islamic state, a mini state within a state, and they run their own Sharia courts. They run their own rules. It's different than comparing it to a inner city in Chicago where there's a criminal element. You don't want to walk in there. Completely different metrics and parameters. What do you think France can do at this point to turn back the tide of all the mosques? We have about 2,200 mosques here in the United States. We have 330 million people. France has 2,500 mosques with 60 million people, 5 times the number that we do. What is France going to do to stop the Islamic takeover of their country?
I think that the only thing France can do is to have more security forces, more intelligence, to really follow these places where terrorist acts can be designed and planned. They will have to use every method, every technology that they have to listen to phones, to listen to use all devices, and to use agents to try and detect any sign of an evolving terror act. That's the only thing they can do, because they cannot deport these Muslims, because most of them are French citizens. They cannot deport them. So
let me ask you this.
To beef up the security forces and to really follow these people 24/7.
All right, now watch this, Arie, and watch this, everyone else, at 31 minutes after 4 o'clock here on a chilly. We're a little chilly here, too. We're down to like
it's
60 degrees.
70, low 70s, yeah.
70.
I had to wear a long sleeve shirt for a few
I got
minutes.
long pants on. Look at this, man.
Yeah, but he still has sandals.
Well,
I had to wear socks today.
Oh, no way. You have,
I had to wear
man.
socks and shoes.
You got shorts on.
Yeah, I know.
Are those your classic traditional?
It's freezing, man.
Listen to this, folks, at 32 minutes after 4 o'clock. I'm going to ask Mark and Damon, if you had to grade France on the management of their Islamic citizens on a scale of 1 to 10.
Well, what's good?
No, let's go A, B, C, D, E,
Okay.
F. All right? What would you give them?
A D.
A D? What would you
What do you mean by management?
to keep the Islamic community from influencing France in a negative way and hurting France?
0.
No, on an A to F scale.
Yeah,
F.
A to F.
F-
So
F
F,
minus.
and a
No,
D.
not an F. I say F because you don't have.
You said F or you don't?
No, I said a D because they don't have yesterday happening every day.
Okay, so you got an F and a D. That's a D minus. Okay, you add those together.
It's passing.
No, it's not.
In America, it may be. We just gave France a D minus on how they manage their Islamic community. I guess that's sufficient, Arie, Egozie, in Israel, for them to tell Israel how to manage the Muslim problem in your country. Don't you think so?
I can't.
Let me ask the question.
Yeah.
Mark and I just rated France a D minus on their handling of their Muslim immigrants.
Yes.
And then Tom asked, how can a country that receives a D minus grade instruct Israel on how to treat their Muslim population?
That's a very interesting question, and they do it again and again. They voted for the Palestinian state. They don't understand that they are in a deep something.
Yeah. Doo-doo.
Yeah, I know. I remember the rules.
You're doing great, let me tell you.
They try to teach Israel what to do. We know what to do. We have been dealing with terror for many years, and but I think again, this attack will change things. They finally understand. They woke up. They finally understand, and I think that they should come to Israel. First of all, to get some help from the Israeli security experts that know how to deal with terrorists, because the normal police in France is not sufficient to deal with this surge in terrorism. They need real tools to deal with this. They are in a war. In a war, you cannot use just a handgun. You need heavy arms.
How about the French cops that don't have any guns?
Yeah, well.
Yeah, I know. Even the policeman there that stood out of the office, he had a handgun. They came with assault rifles. They came with an RPG rocket launcher.
Well,
they came with bulletproof. They came ready for war. Yep. This is not a picnic, and they have to change. I'm sure, and I talked with people here in Israel today. This time, they are going to take it very seriously.
One thing I think people do not realize about Israel is they do have a tremendous population of Arabs and Druze and all forms of Muslims in Israel who live peacefully, interact with the culture, love Israel. I mean, the Druze up north. I mean, they're wonderful.
Very unique situation.
First of all, the Druze serve in the Israeli Defense Forces. Some of them in very high ranks.
We met a general.
I have people here not far that I buy shirts and clothes in an Arab store. I go to restaurants who are owned by Arabs. Of course, we live together. They are people that just want to live peacefully alongside the Jews in Israel. Of course, that's a fact of life every day. In Jaffa, in Jerusalem, in Tel Aviv, everywhere.
Yeah, but you can't rob money from the rest of the Arab world and the rest of the West. If everyone behaves like that and goes about their life, how do you extort all the Arab countries and the Western countries for billions upon tens of billions of dollars
and
for the suffering?
That's another show. That's another show.
Right.
But we got a couple of minutes left with you, Arie. What's going on with the elections? We know on March 17th there's going to be a new election for a new government. We got the left and the right. What's a quick update on the election situation in Israel?
The election situation in Israel, as I told you in previous shows, it's heating up. It's heating up. I think that Bibi Netanyahu understands that this time he's in real danger. His chair is in real danger, and he had a interview 2 nights ago where he blamed prime ministers from 10 years ago for some of the problems in Israel. He's frightened. And I think that the main issue this time will not be security. The main issue will be the social problem in Israel. Wow. The young people, their ability to buy houses, and this will be the main issue, the main point, the main clash point between the two big parties, and it's going to be very interesting. I think that for the first time for many years, there's a chance that there will be a total change of course in the Israeli politics.
Wow. Really? Wow.
So the challenge is from the left, not from the right? I mean, the challenge is more from the left or from the extreme right?
No. It's not a question of left and right. I think that even if the what is called left, which is central, will come to power, they will not give up any inch of Judea and Samaria. That's of course the question is now how to solve some very, very basic problems of high cost of living, the fact that people who serve in the army for 3 years come out, get married, cannot buy a house. These are the main issues that now are annoying most of the population. I talk with many people. I had lunch today with some people in Tel Aviv. This is the issue: how to solve some very, very severe problem. And as you know, we have now an ongoing investigation of some corruption of politicians in Israel. And this is also a thing that will affect the elections. It's a big investigation. People were arrested. People will be arrested, and this will be a very furious, very heated up campaign. We will see some very big struggles, very big wars until March 17. It will be very, very interesting.
Yeah, that's very. I mean, first time we're really hearing
domestic issues running the show.
Domestic issues. It's like it's a regular country. You know, you look at Israel as like in the middle of all this terrorism and all that. It's a regular country trying to figure out how much tax money, how much social welfare, all of that. All right, Arie, we're going to let you go right now. You have a wonderful week. We're going to be there in March, the later part of March. We'll talk more about that in other shows. Anything breaks between now and our next update from you next week, give us a call. We'll get you on. And your language is just much too clean these days.
Yes,
for
it really
our show.
is. It
Just
really
amazing.
is.
And we bought a beep machine just for him.
We don't have to use it anymore.
We don't use it anymore. Yeah, he's cleaned his act up. Yeah.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Thank you very much, guys. See you next week.
See you
Take
next
it easy.
week. Arie.
Bye-bye. Arie Egozie, Israel's Homeland Security Home. That's the website he works for that deals with the national security industry in many, many respects. Israel's Homeland Security Home. Arie's the general editor there, good friend of ours.
Man, they have some
What I
really cool
Show the site,
stuff
'cause
going on.
we want you to
I
go
do-
there.
I got it. I'm doing it.
Ari was my host back in November when I was out there, and Ari knows where the bodies are buried and where the shirts, the suits are hanging out, and he showed me a little bit of both. Let me tell you,
They have a
So it's good.
crazy on March 31st. They have an Israeli missile and air defense that they're sponsoring. They have a couple.
Yeah, I got it.
It's the I-HLS, Israeli Homeland Security Home, but they sponsor some events.
all these
similar-
conferences. No,
Yeah, some conferences.
That's how he
And
meets.
they have one on, it's this one right here.
What happened?
It's Israel Air and Missile Defense. It's on March 31st. I think that's around when we're leaving, but that would have been cool.
we're actually
be the
staying. We're leaving on a later date. So in Herzliya, wow,
Yes, that's
we'll
what
be
I'm saying.
there.
We got to go to that thing.
That's only. I know how to go. I know how to drive now from Tel Aviv.
Oh
to
yeah, yeah. You
Herzliya.
got your Waze now.
Yeah,
Oh,
my
yeah.
Waze, W-A-Z-E, great GPS system.
Yeah,
I wonder
download
if
it
that
on your-
GPS system can get us to Jerusalem. That's what I wonder.
Jerusalem Jane, maybe
We're
Oh,
trying, you
Can
know.
we plug her into the?
GPS.
You know, the Skype only works so fast, man.
we
But
plug
I
into
think we
GPS?
could do it.
I
I
think
think we could
we
do
have
it.
technology.
I think we
can
could bring
plug-
in the Great Dane from Jerusalem.
Did you ever see the on television? They have the people typing. They're typing like this. You know they can't type like me.
I know.
All right, now it's time at 42 minutes. 42 minutes after the hour. Thank you for tuning in, folks. We just had Arie Egozie on, and we mentioned we'll be there in March. Let me tell you right now, yes, indeed, we will be there March 21st through the 31st. That's the tour. Then there's going to be an extension that some folks are going to go down to Eilat, over to Petra.
It's like
You'll have
South
some options.
Beach.
It's going to be cool. Trips $2,995 or so, plus however you can get there. A lot of people are borrowing miles from their friends and getting their air for free, coming up with the $3,000 and going on a trip of a lifetime. It's not just a tour of Israel. It's a fact-finding mission on the national security structures, concerns, and issues of the most critical geopolitical country in the world dealing with terrorism. And you're going to meet unbelievable people. People on the trip are going to be wonderful. The subject matter experts that we will be briefed by at the various places, that we will be receive presentations from at the evenings, all will be integrated into some relaxation time. And we indeed will hit the traditional religious sites that Jews and Christians have part of their whole being. We go there too. We do a lot. It's a trip of a lifetime. It's getting an associate's degree in Middle East politics in 10 days for $3,000. Go try to do that at your local
That's cheaper than community
at
college.
your local community college. Go try to do that. Do we have Jerusalem Jane with us?
Right there.
Jerusalem Jane,
Welcome.
welcome
Hey, how
to
you doing?
sunny Florida. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Hey
See
Jane,
you.
Jane, I like it when you had that front light on. You had a light on front of you. Was it your computer?
No, this is sort of an evening look.
Oh, it is.
What light?
This is an evening.
No, you had. Maybe you turned your computer on. That was it.
Oh, before. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
You mean just now?
No,
Yeah,
before
like about a minute ago, it was
Oh.
brighter.
It was brighter. She had a bright light in front of her. or
Touch
something.
your computer. Touch
I
your.
didn't do anything.
Touch
Yeah,
the
okay.
keypad of your computer.
That's all right. It's
It's
a radio
all right.
show.
It's a radio show.
No,
Who
it's
cares?
got a nice evening look. It's a radio show. It isn't a radio show. It's a television show.
It's a television show.
That we simulcast on the radio. And where we do that, we love Block Talk Radio. We want everybody to be participating in that. This happens to be commercial radio. We have to procure the time. That means pay for the time. We thank you for the donations that help us do that. We buy the time. Commercial free. You know, we don't push that enough. We don't stop every 8 minutes and go, okay, now a word from our sponsors, you know.
Which there are some very good radio hosts in town, but listening to a show is nearly impossible.
It's very, very difficult. You get a train of thought going and they go, okay,
Well-
now break to hear from Is your rectum sore today? Well, go to Dr. Jones
Dr.
at the Rectum
Fin-
Institute.
Dr. Hand.
hurts. I've got the best doctor.
Go to Dr. Hand.
And you go, Dr. We don't have any of that here on non-commercial radio because we got to pay for it. So thank you for your donations. Go to theunitedwest.org. Donate securely so that we can bring you uninterrupted.
So we're going to bring you beautiful women onto the internet.
Yes,
That's right.
Jane Ardane in Jerusalem. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm a bit cold, but I'm good.
Tell us a little bit about the weather, because I don't think people understand what's going on in Jerusalem right now.
Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
That's got to make her feel like she's back home.
That's right. That's right.
You like
Oh my God, yeah, it's winter in Israel. Can you believe it? We're getting snow, yay.
Was that you who put up a little video holding your cell phone out the window and snowflakes were coming down and you were doing backflips all over the place?
Backflips? No, I don't think that was me, but I did post some videos from the weather yesterday. Getting snow in Israel is a big thing. It's a blessing, you know, and it's crazy, but it's beautiful. This country is not set up for snow, so when snow is coming, they're closing down schools, they're closing down roads, and it's just fun to watch them. Hey, I'm Danish, I grew up with this, I'm used to it, but the Israelis are not, so.
That's got to be interesting to come
We
from.
actually have some footage of it here.
To come from Denmark. Yeah, there's some footage right there. Look at that. To come from Denmark,
It needs a little bit brighter.
where you live in a igloo basically, and to go to Jerusalem, which has pretty fair weather most of the year. And I've been in some of those states, the southern states, that get a little ice once in a while and everything shuts down. But you're alive and well, and we're thankful for that. And speaking about being alive and well, give us an update on the threat situation that you experienced recently. Tell us whatever you can as to what the status of that is and what your thinking is in regard to that situation now that you're a week or two past it.
Well, things are kind of spreading. I mean, I decided to go public with this. I don't think I talked to you about that, but I decided to go public with this. So I actually posted the picture of me being threatened, and I wrote a reply to the guys telling them I think they're cowards. If they have something to say to me regarding going on the Temple Mount, why didn't they come up and talk to me like civilized people? And I just told.
That's it
I
right
had-
there.
yeah.
That's the problem.
That's
right
the
there.
problem right
Go
there.
ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead. No, let her continue.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you mean, but anyway. No, I wrote a reply and I published it on my page, telling them that I don't think it's nice of what they're doing at the Temple Mount belongs to the Jewish people. And that kind of spread. So I was being contacted by a radio station here in Israel who wanted to talk to me, to interview me about all of this. So getting ready to go down there, I have to take the bus. So I'm taking the bus and I'm sitting concentrated on texting on my phone, looking down. And looking up, all of a sudden, this guy is standing in front of me in the bus with a camera, not a smartphone, not an iPhone, with a camera, taking pictures of me. So my first reaction was, "What the heck? Can I say that?"
Yes.
I was like,
You
"Is
can
he
say
taking?
heck, yeah,
Is he taking
especially
pictures
after
of me?"
Arie,
I was
you
like,
can say
"What?" So
You
I
say
looked
anything
away.
you want after Egozie's on.
Okay, no, but I looked up and this guy was taking pictures of me. So when he saw me looking at him, he took his camera down and he was just staring at me, really, really mad. So he goes and he sit down behind another Jewish guy. This guy was not Jewish. He was Caucasian, white, kind of long hair and a ponytail. And so he sat behind another guy, but he moved. So he was free and he was just sitting there staring at me, so mad. First I was like, okay, is he just taking a picture like, you know, a pretty girl, let me take his picture. But then at least he would have smiled at me, but he was staring so mad at me. So it's very, very uncomfortable. So of course I got off the bus and I went into the radio station and the lady interviewing me was like, okay, I just saw your thread. So how is life? Do you feel safe? And I said, are you kidding me? Do you know what just happened on the bus coming here? And she was like, oh, this is good. This is what I want to talk
this is
to
good
you
for
about.
her.
Yeah.
This is a good story. Okay, so let's just pull this down to earth a little bit because I don't know who this guy was. I don't know why he was taking my pictures. I can't say for sure that it was related to these things. The only thing I know is like there was a guy standing in the middle of a bus in Israel taking pictures of me looking really mad. So it was not nice.
So
What can I say?
that could be again, and this is a little tidbit in terms of self-awareness and being aware of your surroundings. Here at the United West, we actually teach material on how to be aware of your surroundings in the context of a terrorist society now. As for
Yeah.
you, Jane, yeah, you're on high alert in many respects. And for our audience at 50 minutes after 4 o'clock on the East Coast, Jerusalem Jane is a Christian woman from Denmark. Several years ago, she decided to go to Israel and do nothing other than to support Jewish people in the state of Israel on Christian biblical principles. And she's been doing that, making friends and just, and part of her ministry is to go up on the Temple Mount and sing and just enjoy life and support people. Very unique and very necessary type of ministry in the land of Israel, just to be there to help, to be a servant. Well, she saw that there was agitation and anger and animosity by Muslims on the Temple Mount whenever Jewish people would come up. And what is this all about? Just started videotaping some of that. And we'll put it on her Facebook page, Israel One Nation. And you need to go there, Facebook, Israel One Nation. And all she did is what we do here at the United West, hold a camera up when the uncivilized savages, many of these folks,
Barbarians.
who happen to adopt the doctrinal principles of Islam and hate everybody in the world, when they start acting out those doctrinal beliefs. Does every Muslim in the world do that? No, you just heard Arie Egozie say he lives peaceably with many Muslims. But there's a significant component, particularly up on the Temple Mount, who hate vile because they're following the doctrines exactly. She taped it, she put it up on her website. And after many people saw that, we saw it, we put it out on the air. The people who were the subject of the camera work by Jane, who were doing what they do on the Temple Mount, got very upset, and they started sending threats to her. We actually published those here. And Jane, we talked about this, particularly in light of France yesterday. We want your opinion on that in a moment. This is dangerous work. These people, when we talk about uncivilized, we don't mean uneducated necessarily. Some of these people, all the people that flew the planes into the Twin Towers, many of those had college degrees and were highly
Advanced
educated
degrees,
people.
some of them.
Yeah, advanced degrees. Uncivilized means you're adopting a set of principles in life that denies the value of other human beings, and you can be supreme over them to the extent of killing them if they offend you. That's an uncivilized, barbaric kind
No,
of culture.
Tom, that is where you're wrong. This is just following the law of Islam and the Quran.
The Sharia, yes,
That
I
is all it
understand.
is. So for you to say as uncivilized is not accurate.
But Imam Abdullah, Jane
Yes,
made
Tom.
a decision to stand against the threats of the Sharia and to stand as a serious and solid Christian to do what God wants her to do, stand for the Jews and for Israel. What do you think of that?
Nonsense. This woman is going to a land that was once ruled by Muslims, and according to Waqf, it will always be ruled by Muslims. So what she is doing is wasting her time and aggravating the Muslims in the area. Now stop it!
That's part of
They
the
don't
problem.
have any history. This country belongs to the Jewish people.
Oh.
Very good. You're so lucky to be protected by an entire ocean between us right now.
And the IDF, because if I am not mistaken,
That's correct.
Jane has made a lot of friends lately who carry big guns and have big muscles. So, but no, you have to be careful over there. What are your thoughts on what's going on France, if you have any thoughts of that situation?
I'm so mad. I am so, I don't even know what words I can use, so let me just think a little bit on speaking in a nice language. No, I'm serious, so pissed off. How come Muslim terrorists think that they can rule this world with fear? And if I go to the Temple Mount and I say something they don't like, oh, let's intimidate her. If people in France or in Denmark, earlier, make cartoons about Muhammad. It's okay to just run in and kill them. What is this? I mean, somebody needs to speak up. I am so furious.
It
I'm
is in
sorry,
the book.
Well, what you're doing, Jane, and we understand that frustration, and what you are doing. Yeah, I saw years ago when I started in the activism world, I saw a cartoon. Speaking of cartoons, how impactful they are. It had thousands of people all walking like off the edge of a cliff, and their heads were down. And you know the bubbles where the words are in the bubbles?
Yeah, yeah.
Each one had the same exact sentence in the bubble. And it said, "What can one person do?" Right? And I looked at this. There are thousands of people all moving in one direction, all wondering what one person can do. One person can do a tremendous amount of evil or good, and one person united with many are like the strands of a cable that becomes stronger when tied together. You are doing tremendous work, and we salute your bravery. We want you to be very, very safe out there, and your commitment to God to stand with Israel and Jewish people, and he will protect you with his angels and his providence for sure. Don't do stupid stuff by any means. You are a tremendous motivation for other people. You need to understand that. For us
Absolutely.
here, in fact, how could
Thank you.
people get in touch with you if they want to communicate with you?
Go to Israel One Nation. I mean, everything is happening on Facebook today. So if you want to get a hold of me, go to Israel One Nation on Facebook. You can write on my wall, or if it's going to be more personal, there's an inbox you can write to me, and I check several times a day. So if you want to get a hold of me, just write me.
All right,
It'll be my
now
honor.
we got about a minute left with you on this show. We'll see you next week, or if something happens that you need to talk to us about, we'll get you on the air. But take about a minute. Tell us how you spent New Year's Eve in Jerusalem. That would be a dream of mine, New Year's Eve in Jerusalem. That'd be pretty cool.
Well, I actually did something special because, you know, it's election time here. So I went to party with the entire Likud party. They had their primaries that night of all nights. So I went to meet the Minister of Interior. He had his arms around me. I had my picture taken with him and got a chance to say who I am, what I'm doing here. And
she's a bigwig.
I just met different ministers from Likud. I met some MKs from Likud, and I did a lot of networking, meeting other journalists. So what better way to spend New Year's Eve, right?
You're an
So I think I'm
operator.
moving up the ladder, right?
Oh, she's big time.
But what we heard, he had his arms around you. We know that was in a very professional manner. But Schmucky here,
Yeah.
I'm getting a little jealous with these ministers. What's that?
yeah, we thought that she's, I don't know, Schmuck. She's
It's
over there.
okay. It was a picture. It was a photo op. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
All right.
Hey, I had a
So
real
no,
quick
it's
question.
a fun experience.
Real quick question
great.
before she goes. Jane, with what's going on in France, we're very aware of the anti-Semitism that goes on in France, both of indigenous European French, but particularly the immigrant Muslim community. Have you noticed in your time there a lot of the French making aliyah to Israel?
Oh yes, I actually think that from France right now is the leading country of the Jewish people coming home. I read something about that, so they are coming home. Seriously, France is not safe for the Jewish people anymore. Come home.
We could underscore that in our trips there. We spent some time in the Jewish quarter in Israel. And when we're walking around the streets with our more Orthodox Jewish friends, guess what they have to do?
Take off
Yep.
their cap.
Take off their kippah or put a baseball cap on, something like that.
Yeah.
But I go, what are you doing? They
Wait,
said,
in France or in Jerusalem?
in France.
In France, in Denmark, in Sweden.
There's a
Yeah, yeah.
Jerusalem. There's a Jewish quarter in Paris where it's
Yeah.
basically all the Jews and the restaurants and everything. And when they start walking out of that, ain't safe, sadly.
Like this area
So-
here where we went.
Yep. So, all right, Jerusalem Jane. Once again, our hats, our kippahs are off to you, and we wish you all the best. Godspeed. Continue your work, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to Communicate with Jane right now at 59 minutes
Israel
after
One Nation,
4
right?
o'clock. Yeah, Israel One Nation on Facebook. Jane, say goodbye. Bye-bye, Jane.
Shalom.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
We'll see you next week, Jerusalem Jane. She really is a
Absolutely.
motivation. Take it easy. She really is a motivation to many people. And we hope, folks, we are a motivation to you as we fight
Actually, play
against
from the
Islamic
beginning.
Jihad,
Play-
as we fight
play from the
against
beginning.
President Obama, and as we stand with the nation of Israel and for the United States Constitution. You take care. See you tomorrow.